Morning, Nigeria. Today we will continue the conversation from last week on staying safe online.
All right, I'll start with a story that hit home to us here quite recently. And it happened to a colleague of mine who came across a food stuff vendor online. You know, she was very excited about what she thought was a fair and good deal, all that sort of thing. Maybe Victor would understand as well. But she went ahead and ordered that particular item. Boom! She never got the item, nor her money back. And in a hard way, she realized she had been scammed. Now, this is just one out of many incidents when you are chatting with friends, scrolling through social media, streaming shows, and even shopping online. Simple internet activities, but an interesting insight last week also made me to realize that the danger that lurks behind those keys, from identity theft and fake websites to online scams and even massive data breaches, the internet has become a real, is it midfielder or minefield?
Minefield.
Because you're in sports.
I had to pay keen attention when you were talking because I've been there.
Oh, you too?
I've been there. It's a small amount, but that was it. And I took the chance because it was not a lot of money. But when you pick little here and there, you can imagine what these guys are going home with.
Absolutely.
And it's becoming a scary reality indeed that never leaves us because everyone is a potential target. And that's why we decided to unwrap the issue of cybersecurity last week, Wednesday. Our guests, experts from the digital space, describe social media as a powerful tool for communication, entertainment, and business, but also likened it to fire, useful, yet dangerous if not handled with care.
Absolutely, and they were very, very emphatic about using social media responsibly and protecting personal information online. Now, the guests stressed that email security is at the very core of every individual's online safety. Since most social media accounts are linked to emails, one strong warning they gave was that public email providers like the Yahoos, the emails, the Outlooks are more prone to attacks than the private ones.
Indeed. They also explained, even though I wasn't here, but I watched, they explained that the three layers of the internet, the surface, the deep and the dark, their advice is that we avoid oversharing personal details and stay online on safe, verified platforms. During that conversation, Nigerians were reminded that online safety begins with personal responsibility.
Absolutely. And Victor, I'm glad you watched because there was one very frightening revelation that came from the guests. And all of them, all the three personalities we had, said they don't use Facebook, they don't use WhatsApp, they are not on X, they are not on Instagram. I mean, so I was puzzled, and I was like, so what do you do? Anyway, that was last week. So today we owe you that responsibility, like I promised, because I was here, that we will continue our conversation on cybersecurity part 2. And here we are. I am Claire Adilabu Abdurazak. Good morning and welcome to the program.
And in 2020, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, identified Nigeria as the 16th country that is mostly recognized for cyber criminality globally, reportedly. Now, the factor responsible for the increasing perpetrators in Nigeria is said to be traceable to the erosion of ethical and societal moral values. I bid you welcome to. I am Victor, so thank you very much for joining us as we dig deeper into staying safe online. We are live on the network service of the NTA.
All right, welcome back to the program if you've just joined us. Last week we started a very insightful conversation on how our activities are online, on social media, on your, platforms, the different social media platforms, can put us into trouble. Today, we owe you a responsibility, as we said earlier on, to dig deeper, see what the institutions are doing, see what the law is all about and how the law can protect you, and also how you watching can also help yourself to stay safe online. We will start our conversation with a background report or excerpts from what transpired last week, Wednesday, and it's compiled by correspondent Joseph Otseng.
Even if you are using WhatsApp, without your email, your registration with them will not be completed. If you are using Signal, your communication will not be completed. Any of these social media platforms, you must enter your email. So if your email address or email box is not well secured, then you would be prone to attack. For those who owns the public mail, number one, make sure you enable two-factor authentication, 2FA. Make sure you enable two-factor authentication. This is very, very key. Number two, make sure before you open any attachments, ensure the attachment is verified. How do you verify the attachment? If you are there, you can pick your biro to write. We have a software called Virus Total. We call it Virus Total. VirusTotal.com. You go to that website, you copy the link of that attachment, paste it on Virus Total to verify what the attachment is all about.
90% of the time, it comes down to money. Where is the money? Finance sector. Whether you call it banks, insurance, fintechs. And of course, fintechs are particularly vulnerable because by and large, they are online.
Okay.
You see? But don't forget, banks have always been vulnerable to robbery. Mm-hmm. So it's not an IT issue per se. The other kind of bad actors you also have basically what we would call nation-state actors. So, for example, if you are from a government agency or a military agency or even a journalist, you may be perceived as having information that will be politically useful. So that could also mark you out as a target.
So update your softwares regularly. It is also important that you use antivirus softwares as well. Some of these antivirus softwares will help you in the sense that there are certain websites you want to go to. They will not allow you access those websites. Like in my organization, the kind of antivirus we use is an endpoint protection, an EDR rather. It is endpoint detection and response. And with the help of other technologies we have, when you click certain links that are malicious, it will block it and tell you that this particular URL you are going to is malicious. So use a good antivirus software that will help you prevent all of this phishing and malicious websites. At the same time, enable multi-factor authentication. We have shouted it again and again and again.
All right, many thanks for the excerpt. And joining us here in the studio to begin this conversation, the second part of it, by the way, let me make welcome Abdul Hakim Ajijola, who is Chairman, African Union Cybersecurity Expert Group, Chairman, Institute of Information Protection and Privacy Africa, Chairman, Consultancy Support Services Limited. A pleasure to welcome you to Good
Thank you very
Morning,
much, sir. Thank you.
Claire.
All right, we also have here joining us, we were supposed to have, of course, he was supposed to have joined us last week, but due to circumstances, job exigencies, he couldn't. But today he's here. CP Ifeanyi Uche, Director, Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center. We are very glad to have you with us, CP.
Thank you very much.
And also joining us here is Rotimi Williams Yomo. Remember, he was here last week. Cybersecurity Manager, Unicorn Group, and member of CCN. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. Victor.
All right, let's begin this conversation. And I'd like to start with Mr. Ajijola. What exactly would you say, is the true state of cybersecurity in Africa, in Nigeria, particularly when we consider the pace of digital adoption and the rising cyber threats?
Well, I think I like to be optimistic. It is definitely not zero, but it's definitely not where it needs to be. And I think there are two key components, and those components circulate around people. And really it's about creating the necessary awareness of the threats so that people at least can do the fundamentals. Again, the cyber hygiene issues. And then the second issue about people is that we do need to build the capacity and grow a cadre of professionals in this business. For me, those are the two. It's about people. At the next level, I would say that you need to have improved processes. Processes are policies, processes are legislation, bearing in mind that technology generally and cybersecurity in particular are very fast-moving issues, and thereby your legislation, your instruments have to evolve relatively quickly compared to some other sectors. And finally, we talk about the technology. You cannot really make much developmental progress if you are borrowing somebody's technology, if your data is sitting on another person's or another jurisdiction's system. Last week, I recollect, we talked about the cloud. And really, the cloud at the end of the day is somebody else's computer. And so the question is, are those computers residing in Nigeria? Are they residing in another African country? Or indeed, are they residing, especially in the West and the Far East? And there are implications. I'm very happy to see this. Our brother from the police is here because these are jurisdictional issues, and I believe he has the expertise to address them.
Victor, took us to the high-end questions, but I wanted us to, start off again, make this conversation more people-friendly. From where we stopped, he listened to our conversation. He wasn't answered. Because last week you made a remark that every click leaves a footprint.
Correct.
And I wanted you to describe what these footprints are exactly and how, these internet and cyberspace marauders, can harvest this for malicious, aims.
Can I give an example using the two of you? So Victor wants to send Claire an email. What does he do? He types it in and then he presses send. But if he goes to his sent box, the email is actually still there. What is actually transmitted is an exact digital replica. And I presume, by and large, Victor does not encrypt his messages. Encryption is like putting your message, like your letter, in an envelope and sealing it.
Yes.
But what happens to the email? It goes from his system to maybe the nearest cell tower, assuming he's using Wi-Fi. From there, it goes to a base station, again, still in Abuja. From the base station, it goes through several hops, probably to Lagos or Port Harcourt, to an undersea cable, to Europe, then to the US. The point I'm getting at is that at each stage, what goes is a digital copy. And that copy is open for anybody at each stage to see. And it may do, just in one direction to the exchange point, it may do 100, 120 hops.
Just one message you click?
No, just one way.
One way.
To where it is exchanged.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Then at the point where it's exchanged to your email, a similar number of hops, probably through a different route. So you can imagine how exposed your message is. So the opportunities to harvest are numerous because we must appreciate that at foundational design, the internet was not designed, quote unquote, to be safe in the sense that people didn't think that far. It was designed to be used. So there are those foundational challenges which are being slowly addressed because, again, it's very difficult to change the foundation of the house while you are living there and using it.
Okay. Yamo, you were here. We talked about, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all that. But I just want you to enlighten us again. Are you seeing new trends in these, activities, new threat trends, apart from the phishing, the deepfakes, and all that?
Yes. One thing is that as technology evolves, so new threat evolves. With the advent of the AI we mentioned lightly on last week, you now see that there are more sophisticated threats. And some of these threats are now targeting even multi-factor authentications we preach. So there are threats now that target two-factor authentication, that target multi-factor authentication. It is, let's say it this way, there was a time where we all go to the bank, we queue. And after queuing, we make deposits. The receiver take couple of days to receive this money. And things evolve to a point where, from a point where they don't receive alert to a point where they receive alerts. Now, before we got to that stage, the target was physical robbery, where people go to the bank and rob the bank. And because they want to make things simpler and make it easier, they started bringing technology into the bank. So most persons will say they can't remember the last time they went to the bank to make deposits. So things have gradually evolved from going to the bank, queuing, signing check, and signing all of these things to get your money. And since things are gradually evolving, you now see that the technology that is coming is betting new challenges. And since it's betting new challenges, you now see people start fighting to keep their finances safe in the bank. We now start using usernames and password. Now, at the point we started saying username and password, people announced their username and password are now under attack. We now have tools that guess people's password. And since these things are evolving, it also are affecting the current trends in technology. And since the current security trends we have been shouting to users, it seems like multi-factor authentication, password strength, and all of it. But again, we now have things like quantum computing. And because it is evolving, this type of computing now helps those that use it to be able to crack or break password faster than it used to some 3, 4, 5 years back. So security is constantly evolving, just so the attack that all of these technologies we use are constantly facing. They are constantly evolving. So it is a battle between who is faster in evolving.
So AI now, everybody's talking about AI use. I mean, anywhere you go, AI. But it is also being, used as a weapon. In fact, just a few days ago, I had to, send one, to a colleague of mine whose, face and voice, had been cloned for an advert and all that. I'm just wondering, all these AI, powered hacking tools. I mean, talk to us about this too, because it's quite frightening.
Okay, it is like this. Let's look at it this way. AI is a blessing and is also a threat multiplier. It is a blessing and it is also a threat multiplier. It has come to make things easier and difficult. But AI what it means is that AI is making things smarter. At the same time, it is making things riskier. So we have to take responsibility as end users. And since we have to take responsibility as end users, it now comes down to what I said initially, that AI is a blessing, but also a threat multiplier. We now see, before now you used to see phishing emails with multiple grammatical errors. We used to see phishing emails with spelling errors. But you hardly see phishing emails these days with grammatical errors with phishing errors. Why? Because these guys now take their time. They use AI to prompt whatsoever they want to do. It comes out clean. It comes out correct. So if you were in that time where what you look at in phishing emails is spelling errors, grammatical errors, AI has actually come to revolutionize that and is making it more difficult. So since it's like that, we now started having technologies and solutions that are also adding AI to their threat detection models. Because basically when we talk about AI, let's even go back to the basic. AI is basically a technology that can learn and adapt. So it means that it is learning how to behave, it is learning how to change. So we now start using security solutions that look at, if I type this way, the way I'm typing, it starts understanding the way I'm typing. So it's learning the way Rotimi is typing. So if the next time someone is typing on my computer that is not Rotimi, it now comes to analyze it and say this is not Rotimi that is typing. That is where things like anomaly detection comes in. It is detecting, or behavioral detection rather. The behavior is not the same as the person that owns this computer.
Absolutely.
So we start seeing evolution. So AI is a blessing. At the same time, it is a threat multiplier.
All right. Thank you very much, Rotimi. Let me get to CP Ifeanyuche. By the way, CP Ifeanyuche has, apart from being director of Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center, is also chairman Interpol African Working Group on Cybercrime. We welcome you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Now, cybercrime is often described as invisible crime. Okay? And so how does the police cybercrime center track and prosecute offenders in this regard in an era of encrypted networks and anonymous platforms?
Okay. Thank you for having me once again. For us, the National Cybercrime Center of Nigerian Police Force, we're actually doing a lot, in tackling this issue. But I want you to understand that cybercrime is not a Nigerian problem. It is a global problem. And it's a problem that requires collective efforts, for us to, fight this scourge. For us, it's not been easy, because the investigation and prosecution of cybercrime offenders, and investigation in particular, is actually very complex, but very interesting. Very interesting in the sense that you start from the unknown, to the known. A situation whereby you have an internet protocol, an IP address, as the only thing that might be available for you to use in tracking, the threat actor that is behind the internet protocol. Just the way you talk, that is invisible. It's actually not invisible because the threat actors, the suspects, believe that whatever thing that they're doing, that they cannot be seen. Well, we talked about leaving footprints. I believe that we all know that internet never forgets whatever thing you do. So the threat actors often believe that whatever thing they do online, they cannot be seen and they cannot be apprehended. But since internet is always there to, marks to remember all that you've done, so it gives us a leeway, in our investigations. I tell you it's not been easy because the threat actors are, getting more vicious, with the use of the artificial intelligence that we're talking about. I remember recently when we handled one particular case where we arrested a 24-year-old boy that used artificial intelligence, used AI to conduct 600 transactions within 2-3 minutes. So it was actually difficult, for us to, dictate that. But of course, you ask the question when you ask him how you can, fight, crimes that are associated with AI. Of course, you need an artificial intelligence, powered techniques to be able to dictate crimes that are associated with artificial intelligence. It is dynamic in nature, and threat actors are actually doing a lot, to make sure that they are 2 steps ahead of their investigators. But we're trying the much we can to see that we're ahead of them, so as to be able to nip whatever thing that they're doing about.
And this is at the high level. Every day when we started this program, I and Claire were sharing, there are basics. People get online, tell you they are selling this and selling that, and then they get people to pay money to them, and then they get the money and they don't deliver the goods. They don't deliver the service, they don't deliver whatever the goods is, and they get away with it, even when there is a bank involved, because banks are not usually going to cooperate with you. They tend to protect their customers. What does the police do? Because this is at the very basic level. The footprint is there. In fact, I can provide you the bank account because I paid in somewhere. So how do they still get to do this and get away with it?
See, it's actually a rising trend, but it's only when you get the law enforcement involved in, matters like this that you can actually receive help. There are lots of, issues going on with regards, to what you just mentioned. But I believe that the banks are equally doing a lot. Of course, we have a very good working relationship, with the banks. So whatever thing that, that is being identified, maybe an account props up, that is being used by a cyber criminal. Once you write to the banks, of course, they're always, very, very ready to provide information that can lead to the arrest of the particular threat actor.
Okay, let me just ask a very simple, practical question. I know many of us may not understand what an average day looks like for you and your team at the Cybercrime Center. So could you just paint a picture for us? What does it entail? How do you and your team, what kind of cases come in? How do you track such cases? How do you trace and how do you deal with it?
There was one particular case that we handled. Let me take it from that side. One guy that, unfortunately, his name is Ifeanyi too.
But not Uche, fortunately.
But not Uche. So what this guy did was to use, in fact, he met one of his best friends. So the lifestyle of the guy, and now said that he wants to get rich. So he met the guy, believed that the guy is into, robbery activities. And when he met the guy in Lagos and said, guy, I want to be rich just like you. The guy said, how do you want to do it? He said, I want to join your robbery gang. The guy said, why do you want to, take that level of risk? It's either you kill the police or the police, kill you. He said that the best thing, for you to do is for you to learn how to hack. So the guy came back to Abuja and actually learned how to hack. So he told him that you can be in the comfort of your room and break into a bank and move a lot of money, the amount that you want. So the guy came back and learned how to hack and was able to hack into banks and was able to generate alerts for 72 that can last for 72 hours. So what he does is breaks into
alerts that can last for 72 hours.
So even there was a time even some people started hiring him, to generate alerts. They pay him sometimes 1 million, maybe you need like 10 million. Gives like you pay like 1 million naira. From there, it generates alerts for you. So you can actually use it to make purchases, buy whatever thing you like. The guy built his house, bought cars, and living very large at the end of the day. So having that kind of person, around, so that it's something that would be really easy, for you to crack.
This was a case you handled?
The case we handled in particular. But at the end of the day, we were able to get this guy, we were able to profile him, and as we speak, he's first in prosecution in court.
How did you track him down? Without giving out too much, yes.
Well, I think a case was reported against him, So when we conducted extractions and analysis from his device, we were able to, see his trends, the way he handled things, some of his activities online. So from there, we moved on and we investigated and we were able to get all that. And of course, we got credible evidences that helped us to prosecute that particular threat actor.
So where is he today?
Well, he's facing prosecution in court.
Still facing prosecution? Yeah.
Well, I'm sure if you press further, the CP will tell you that prosecution is now in another terrain. It's not in the hands of the police.
I don't know. I'm passing the ball to you because I don't know. So CP, prosecution. This guy is still facing prosecution. Iyomo, I don't know what you've got to say.
Well,
are you shocked as much as I am?
Well, I'm not. These are some of the things we see in the security field as cybersecurity analysts. But again, just like the CP mentioned, there are process and protocols for these things.
Yes.
So you just have to face the prosecution, and they have done their part. It's left for the other parts to conclude.
The judiciary.
Yes, to conclude their part and make the right judgment.
How does the new Cyber Crime Act 2024 help in this case?
Well, I've looked at that act a couple of times, and well, it's good that it is amended, because before now I used to have issues with the Cyber Crime Act of 2015. I remember when we were in school and we were doing cyber crime law, and we had to dress like cyber lawyers and analyze some part of these laws. We were complaining that it looked as though those laws cannot apply to Nigerians and to Nigeria. But it is good that it is these laws, the Cyber Crime Act was amended. But again, when these laws are amended, I mentioned last week here that one of the things we need to do is that we need to find a way to enforce these laws. I always tell people that at some point we are not devoid of the law. We are devoid of enforcement. We have the Nigerian Data Protection Act. And with the Nigerian Data Protection Act, the cybercrime law in play, we still see people flaunt these laws. We still see people commit crimes day in, day out. We need to start orienting people about the law. That is one. Two, we also need to get judges that will know how to interpret these laws.
Specialized judges.
Yes, just so whenever we present a case with digital evidences, they understand what it means and how to pass the judgment correctly. Because one of the challenges we may face with this cybercrime law as amended is that majority of the evidences and cases will be thrown out due to technicalities. We've seen that a couple of times. They'll be thrown out due to technicalities. The reason is because we may have issues with interpretation. So we need to see how we can get, even if it's a good number of judges that will know how to translate these laws to current what we have currently. At the same time, not just the laws, the evidences, how are they being handled? Because whenever we have digital evidences, there is usually so many things involved, the chain of custody and all of it. Then how do we verify these digital evidences as well?
I'm just wondering, CP, what this because I'm trying to see if I can get it out, what, the amended law. But what does it mean, for the center in terms of the powers granted, yes? What does it mean?
It means a lot because, you need enabling laws to be able to function properly. And I can tell you that there is no perfect document anywhere in the world. Okay, that's why recently we were talking about amending the Cybercrime Act, to make sure that it captures, the major things that we need for us to be able to prosecute or to go against threat actors. But you have to understand the judicial processes. It's not possible for you to take a suspect to court today and the court will convict the suspect immediately. It's not possible. So when you take a suspect to court, it's not left for the judiciary, to take care of it. Of course, if it's a bailable offense, according to the Act, the court will grant bail to the suspect while, the proceedings and the prosecution continues. So it's not possible to just move a suspect to court today, just like the case of Ifeanyi that I mentioned, and he will gain conviction immediately. So there are processes, and I believe that is actually what is going on. So the Cybercrime Act is actually very good and it's helping us in prosecuting suspect and threat actors, because it gives us the enabling environment, it gives us the power, it gives us the shield, to be able to handle our cases. And of course,
what kind of shield?
Well, of course, you have to work within the ambit of the law. Yes, because if we're talking about law enforcement, you cannot work after the blues or outside the box. It must have to be within the perimeter. We are guided by the laws of our country. So you cannot just wake up, without having a credible evidence or report against a particular person, just bump into, arresting someone that has done nothing. So there must be reason why a threat actor is being trailed, is being profiled, and being arrested, and is being prosecuted.
In the case of Ifeanyi, you come and give us, yes. In the case of Ifeanyi,
yes.
Who is the plaintiff?
You see, sometimes you charge, even if there is no plaintiff, if you have credible evidence about a particular threat actor, you have the power to, like the police, we have the power to arrest on a mere suspicion. So if you suspect and you have credible evidence that someone is into a particular crime, you have the power to get the person. So sometimes you can even charge a suspect because the state against the suspect. Okay? So in that, you the police, the government becomes the complainant,
yes.
In that particular matter.
Yes.
So you can prosecute.
Yes.
So
you have the responsibility to ensure that the defendant is prosecuted. That process is taken to the end, isn't it?
Exactly. So you have that responsibility. So it's not just something you just...
So in the case of Ifeanyi, what is stalling it?
Nothing is stalling it. I say that he's charged to court. He's charged to court and he's
going through the process.
He's going through the process. That's why I said you cannot just take a suspect to court and you'll be convicted.
But this is a clear case. That's I don't know. No. I'm not a lawyer.
So let me now tell you. Let me tell you. Due process. If the suspect, for instance, is charged to court and the court said, "Are you guilty?" After reading the charge or the charges, say, "Are you guilty or not guilty?" The suspect said, "I am not guilty." The trial continues. So you cannot convict someone that said that he is not guilty. You have to give him fair hearing. Do you understand? You should be able to, you say you're not guilty, you should be able to bring evidence, points, that will prove that you are not guilty.
And they will do.
And the criminals, they will do. They will do. And the lawyers are always there to back them up. So, but if you charge a suspect to court, and the suspect said, the court said, "Are you guilty or not guilty?" The suspect said, "I am guilty." So it's at the discretion of the court. The court will now pronounce judgment. Or the court can say, remind him in prison custody. My judgment is going to be next week or next 2 weeks. So it's at the discretion of the judge.
Thank you, CP. Let me get to Mr. Ajijola again. But if you look around today, what are the biggest cyber threats that you see around us as we speak?
First of all, if I may, let me build on the existing conversations and especially what my colleagues have said and summarize by saying cyber criminals operate at the speed of light. Law enforcement operates at the speed of law. And so there is a natural mismatch. Also, we have to appreciate that today, AI is, as Rotimi has said, the new assistant for old crimes. You know, so to that extent, these threats, as he said, evolve. So I wouldn't want to point at specific challenges in the sense that, yes, you have phishing and all these things. But I think at the end of the day, the core difficulty is ourselves. One, our dependency. We need these technologies, but I think we are becoming way too dependent in the sense that we don't question enough. And this comes back again. So for me, the biggest cyber threat is actually us. We are the weak link.
When you say we don't question enough, what exactly do you mean?
Let's go into our education system. Many of us are not sufficiently taught at an early age critical thinking.
Okay.
So, for example, Madame Claire talked about a colleague whose a post on Facebook, or I mean not Facebook, but on a social media platform is basically a clone. And that is true. They can clone your face, they can clone your sound.
Yes.
They can't clone your soul, at least not yet. But the issue is that when you look at that post, there might be some telltale characteristics. For example, maybe some of the facial features, maybe the way the sound comes out, maybe the blurring of the background. But you see, if you don't have the awareness of these things, then you are liable to fall victim. Of course, again, Rotimi had, I think, put it quite well that when at a point you just put in your name and password, and you now come to this issue of multi-factor authentication, and essentially there are three factors. The first factor is what you know, your password. The second factor is what you have, for example, an ATM card. And the third factor is what you are, for example, your fingerprint. So these are the three factors, and industry, the good guys, are trying to use these to thwart the bad guys. But with AI, what is happening is that it is allowing people to generate so much traffic. The CP mentioned a bad actor generating over 600 messages in mere minutes. Transactions, in mere minutes. And you can imagine now if you spend 7 hours doing this, you're talking of hundreds of thousands of potential transactions, even if a few get through. And I think this is where we have to reassure the audience that it's not all gloom and doom. For example, back in days of old, maybe for every 10,000 transactions, you had one go awry, one fraud. Today, you have hundreds of millions of transactions. And yes, you may have 1,000 or 2,000 go awry. So you have the perception that it's getting worse. But actually, in terms of crude percentages, it's actually getting less because you are having far more transactions. For example, I was just reading for some work I'm doing. In the first quarter of this year, 2025, Q1, the first 3 months, e-transactions amounted to 295 trillion naira. So, I don't know specifically what the financial losses are, but my point is simply that that's a huge amount of money. A lot is happening. I would say that 99.99% of those transactions go through without a problem. So it is expected. I mean, you go to the village, somebody is stealing a goat. I mean, crime happens. Somebody comes, you put your washing out, they come and steal your underwear. These things happen. It's unfortunately part of humanity or how we are as people. So at the end of the day, I think we need to also reassure our viewers that It's not good. It does need to be worked on, but I don't think it is as bad as sometimes we experts are making out, because we are looking at the transactions that go awry. And sometimes you need to step back and look at the bigger picture to say, and like I said, if you do the math, 295 trillion in 3 months, what is it going to be at the end of 12 months? And very quickly, I would also like to talk about the Act. Basically, there were one or two things that were amended in the Act. Specifically, there is a levy on this, for example, 295 trillion, the e-transactions, which is actually now available to fund law enforcement. So the levy was there before, but because it was not well couched, the government was unable to collect it. I believe now they can collect it, so that bottleneck has been removed. Another thing you see in the Act are the other issues that have been modified, but for many of us, okay, the amendments didn't go far enough. Mm-hmm. The amendments are good in a sense, but just not enough. Also, there's a particular part of the Act, I think it's, forgive me, I think Section 24, which is still a bit problematic because that deals with issues around your privacy and how, to what extent can government intrude and monitor you. And I think those kind of issues, we still need to have conversations around them. So again, I think I would also, take a cue from what CP Uche has said, that all of these things are works in progress. You will never have a perfect document, but please understand that as a work in progress, we are actually making progress.
Let me. Now that you've talked about privacy, yes. I know that earlier on you took Victor and I, through
yes.
some lessons on how we can secure, private
yes.
online. We have the Nigeria Data Protection Act.
Correct.
And now we have this amended act.
Yes.
Is there a way that these two can be a bridge or kind of strike, an equal balance between our rights, and cybersecurity?
Well, again, yes, they have to synergize. I mean, I think this is clear. But I would argue that the word you used is balance.
Balance.
And balance by nature is dynamic. Balance is based on there are certain factors,
yes.
and so you keep things optimal. Those factors underlying are changing all the time. They're dynamic. So your balance also has to keep changing. So I would urge viewers and the public not to get tired of us or people amending some of these instruments because things change. Again, 20 years ago, you wanted to get money from the bank. What do? You have to go, and you want to send it to somebody in Kano. You have to go to your bank, do a transfer. It takes about 10 days. Today, CP Uche can sit down in Abuja, send money to somebody in Kano through their account in Enugu. That's progress, you see. But it also opens up, as Rotimi has said, opportunities.
I'm just going through, a number of do's and don'ts on how, you can stay safe online. And this one is saying, update your internet browser. The latest versions have built-in protection against fake websites and viruses. Rotimi, I mean, your earlier, insights on emerging threats worries me. So, even if you update your internet browser, can you speak to the updating of your internet browser and how, that can help, keep us safe?
Okay, let me just say a word to what Mr. Akim was talking about just a few moments ago. When it comes to the Nigerian Data Protection Act, there are also aspects of it that will have to breach your privacy. There are legitimate reasons why your data can be provided to third party under the Act. We have our right as data subject, right? And at the same time, the government also have, like, when it comes to legislation, legitimate reasons, we have, when the process have to comply with the law, the government have power over that. So there are certain aspects the government have power over. There are about 6 legitimate reasons where they need to give, they need to have access to your information. Now I'm coming back to the updated browsers. Mr. Akin mentioned something that we are usually the weakest link. To every security system, we have people, process, and technology. And the weakest link in every security system are usually the people. The question that comes to mind is, how many persons update their browsers? How many? Now, the ones that update their browsers, because they want to have, maybe, they always choose conveniency over security. The browser is depriving them of so many things. They go to modify some of the settings. And when they keep modifying settings, I remember I was discussing with a friend, and the browser was trying to stop him from accessing a gaming site. So, it was a betting site rather. So when he discovered that he could not access that betting site, he had to go to settings and was looking for a way to modify some of his settings. Now, when you modify these settings and you start tweaking them, just so you can enjoy and conveniently access the platform which are your preference, you are gradually affecting your security. So you are choosing conveniency over security. Even though these browsers come with recent security features, even email services and all of it come with updated security features. Last week I mentioned on the platform that when there is an update, it means that there are bugs that the manufacturer or the developer have discovered, and there are also security loopholes they have discovered. And since they have discovered it, they are looking for a way to fix it. By bug, we mean that, and security issues, we mean that there are weaknesses that can be exploited on these applications, on these softwares. So they come out, say, okay, we have fixed the issue. It's just like having a road, and you discover at the point that there's a pothole, and this pothole can cause an accident. Oh, you say, okay, let's take 2-3 days, let's patch the pothole, just so it will result to loss of life. So they roll it out, people can use it. So now that people can use this application that are updated, some persons start modifying it. And remember I mentioned that security is constantly evolving. Just so is the attack vectors, the attack surface, the threat actors are getting smarter. And since they are getting smarter, CP mentioned that they are 2 steps ahead. I think they are 5 steps ahead. Parid, one of the security analysts in the US, said that social engineers are getting smarter. Your role is to get smarter as well, because deepfakes are changing. We now see deepfake. You mentioned initially where people now see videos, now see pictures of themselves. They look good, they look fine, they look eye-catching. But again, some of these things, what are we using them? So it now boils down to our responsibility as users.
Okay. We have a question from Akpata Samuel. We will take that because it's just, I don't know if you have other questions too.
I think I have one.
Okay. So that makes 2. But we'll take those 2 questions. CP, I mean, you heard Ajijola and Irutibe talk about how sophisticated the emerging cyber threats are, and I'm wondering, I'm just going to loop 2 questions into one. First, if your center has the requisite infrastructure, personnel, and the training, and then some of these hackers or scammers or fraudsters, some of the suspects are not even based in the country. Some of them are outside the country. Some of their servers are located outside the country. So how do you navigate between these the jurisdictions and, of course, the diplomatic issues that may arise?
Okay, thank you again. And last year I was appointed as a chairman Interpol African Working Group on cybercrime. And I can tell you that I've gone around the African nations, and I've seen what they have on ground in terms of, infrastructure, both digital and physical infrastructure, that enable them to tackle the issues concerning cybercrime. I can tell you what we have in Nigeria, the National Cybercrime Center is actually the best in Africa.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I stand to be contradicted, So it's actually the best. And I can tell you that the Inspector General of Police, the federal government have done a lot, in helping us to fight this scourge. Because, if you have the state-of-the-art technologies and you have the expertise, you have officers and men that are well-trained, to handle this issue, it means that we're ready. And it means that we're doing a lot. If you check some of the successes we've recorded so far, you will see that we've recorded a lot of successes, in helping victims of cybercrime, in particular. This year alone, from January to now, we've recorded about close to 80 convictions. And this is not, I don't know of any police station or any listing or that recorded that kind of, conviction that we have. And I'm looking at what other sister agencies are doing in the fight against cybercrime. I believe because of the enabling environment that we have, being provided by the Inspector General of Police and the government of Nigeria, that a lot is actually going on. Our visibility outside this jurisdiction is very, very high because we've actually helped a lot of victims outside Nigeria, to make recoveries of the items that were scammed, collected from victims. We've helped a lot of victims outside this jurisdiction to ensure that threat actors are convicted. And I say that the investigation of cybercrime is not a tea party. It's complex, but I see, because we have the passion, we have the expertise, I see it as something that is very interesting. I enjoy having, cracking complex cases.
Are you an ethical hacker?
Yes, I am an ethical hacker. I am an ethical hacker. I am a certified hacker forensic investigator, CHFI, and I have other certifications in area of cybersecurity. So, but apart from myself as the head, we have lots of ethical hackers that are police officers that are working, in the center. So we are doing a lot, and again, I have to take it, up to this. Yes, the Cybercrime Center is doing a lot. The Inspector General of Police is doing a lot in helping victims of cybercrime. But in all, if we are not cyber aware, it becomes a problem. Our people. So sensitization, constant education is actually going to help our people, on how to stay safe online. For you, to be able to stay safe, you must have to observe the cyber tips, understand what and you need to do. For example, if in the case of WhatsApp hack, the hacker we always call, what they do in WhatsApp hacking that is going on is rampant now. People fall victims almost on a daily basis. And it's our responsibility to educate victims and potential victims on how actually to stay safe. So what they do is to use their phone and your own number, trying to use it to create WhatsApp, using their phone and your phone number. So WhatsApp will always send the 6-digit number to you, the owner of the phone. Okay? And they will call you, hey, you're going to have Zoom meeting with Ajidola, with Uche by 5 p.m. There is one 6-digit number. Can you call the number for me? So when you give them that 6-digit number, you've actually enabled them to hack you. So if you look at the issue of cybersecurity, he talked about CIA triad, when you talk about the 3 pillars of cybersecurity, which the people, the process and the technology, the people, always the weakest link. And that is why the target is always focused on the people. Because, they know that you have that vulnerability And of course, because so many citizens, so many victims don't even know what to do when confronted with issues like that. So once you give her that 6-digit number, you've enabled them to hack you. So what I'm saying in effect is that we have a lot of role to play as individuals. Okay? For you to be safe online, you need to ask questions. Right? If a number pops up, ordinarily, if you're going to have a Zoom meeting, the link will be sent to you, and you're the one that's going to activate it. Why do you want to give someone a link for the person to be able to activate you? So when you see some of these things, you need to ask questions. Or when you have a phishing link, or if a phishing link is sent to your props up in your phone or your device, your laptop, and you're not expecting anything from, I mean, if it comes from Hakeem, and I'm not expecting anything from Hakeem, and suddenly a link pops up. So it's expected that you call him and ask questions. Did you send any link to me? So,
but then how did they even get your number? Because sometimes you just see, get these calls. How did they access your number? Is this not where the NCC and the all telecom operators, become, I don't know.
The telecom operators are doing a lot. You see, the Cybercrime Act enables them to retain data for 2 years. Okay? So that is why whenever they keep all tracks for 2 years. So if there is any issue and they have been contacted by law enforcement, they provide those data. And the data are the things that will enable you as an investigator to be able to profile, to probe, to find out who is actually behind that link in particular.
Let me give you an instance. A colleague of mine, went on the social media, and social platform, and saw this, sales advert, and she, of course, accepted. It turned out to be a scam. To date, she hasn't been able to recover her money. And for such cases, do you attend to such cases if reported?
I suggest a response after we return.
Just hold on. Yes.
He will respond when we return from the break.
Just hold on. Quickly.
Okay. He will return. Please.
Do you handle such cases?
Yeah, sure. We do.
Okay.
We do because once this is going on now and then, in the internet. But once you discover this, because the problem is this high yield investment is creating lots of issues. One is that the greed. Secondly, because we always forget, to ask questions. If you have an investment, if you have an ad, it's expected that one, you be very careful in clicking. But apart from that in particular, now if you have an investment that promises high yield, you should be very, very careful, knowing that the possibility of being a scam, is there.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And we've been discussing cyber security, cyber threats, and everything cyber, how to stay safe online. I got to Abdulhakeem Ajijola again. And
I thought we had questions. You were
Well, I think mine now looks like a statement.
No.
Mine now looks like a statement because it's just saying, good morning, sir. My name is Uriyomi Ogunusi. I'm enjoying your program here from Lagos, Ibejuleki local government area. I think that's about it. Okay. But I wanted to get to Hakeem to ask many, and from what the CP has said, many Nigerians still see, cybersecurity as something distant, or technical. And that's why we are not getting a lot of responses, if you ask me. So how would you explain its real impact on national security and indeed on daily life?
First of all, we have to understand that we are seeing different tools, but the goals are the same. It's about deception. So the underlying, where the bad actors want to go is underlying. But also to the bad actors, I think they have to appreciate that online crimes today, as the CP has mentioned, have offline consequences. You can, if caught, be prosecuted. When you're prosecuted, you can face jail time. You can lose the assets you have. Certainly you can lose your reputation.
Now, what we
But
see,
I think core to your question is really a secure cyberspace is foundational to the economy. So it's about the economy. It's about your well-being. It's about the well-being of the viewers. And one of the things I think also that has come up is that we are becoming increasingly reliant on these technologies, which in of itself is not good or bad. The technology actually doesn't care. It's how it is used. But the real challenge I think that has come through from Rotimi and the CP is that we actually are not able to engage in critical thinking. And this is actually back to our foundational education system. We are not actually taught critical thinking, because critical thinking applies in agriculture, it applies in commerce, it applies in technology, it applies in life, it applies in religion.
We do a lot of verbal and quantitative aptitude from...
No, but the actual, because a lot of it is regurgitating. It's cram and regurgitate. We need to be able to ensure our educational system empowers us as a people with that critical thinking, so that you have to question. Like the CP says, I don't have an account at Bank X, and all of a sudden Bank X is sending me an alert that 10 million has been deposited in my account. I mean, come on. There's a limit to what technology will help. But I think one of the takeaways for me is that when talent meets these technologies without ample guidance, then we see the kind of people that the CP unfortunately has to deal with. But having said that, to our government, I would also encourage us to understand that we do need governance to regulate behavior, but we shouldn't regulate freedom. We have to be able to, again, as Claire has said, a balance.
Okay, I have a question from Akpata Samuel. In fact, two. How can AI be used to strengthen cybersecurity defense against emerging threats? Secondly, how can we prevent over-reliance on AI systems that might make human analysts less vigilant? CP, the first question, and then we can, escalate the second question.
Well, for me, just like as I said about the guy that used AI to transact 600 transactions within 2-3 minutes. And the only way you can actually fight, crimes that are generated, using artificial intelligence is probably to use AI to fight it. So for you to be able to fight a crime that is technologically based, you need tech to be able to fight, the same crime. Because if you look at cybercrime, what constitutes cybercrime in particular, you have to use devices, smartphones, and of course, laptops, desktops, over network. You understand me? So having that, these are the tools that are readily available for cyber criminals. So if you look at the population, and I mean for us to know that is actually not something that is going to get better. So the earlier that will get used to how to tackle issues concerning cyber security and cyber attacks, the better for us. That was why I talked about awareness. If you look at the population of those that uses internet today, it's about 107 million people in Nigeria. That's internet penetration on a daily basis. Now we have about 140 million people that uses smartphones, and these are technologies that are available, for cyber criminals to use and for all of us, to use. So it means that these are devices that cyber criminals are using to generate the AI tool. Because you cannot generate AI using Chia. It must have to be technologically based.
Okay.
So
Okay, please.
So you need to fight that. You equally need AI to be able to fight offenses or crimes that have been generated using artificial intelligence too.
Is there anything, Tuchala, you want to?
Yes, I just want to give an example and to build on something Rotimi had said about potholes. Now you have in your computer and you have in your country, you have what you call a firewall. And think of it as the wall around your compound. And there are bad actors trying to poke holes in the firewall. So they're now using AI to make those holes as quickly as possible. There are AI systems that as you are poking the holes, they are patching the holes. So AI, again, it's how it is used. The technology itself doesn't care. It's agnostic. It's, the human being.
The second question but let me just read this one. This message is to CP. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ejiofor Gabriel from Lagos State. I think this system of updating our apps is changing daily. Recently, I was attacked by fraudulent people on my WhatsApp platform, which made some of my contacts to lose certain amount of money. But to the glory of God, I was able to trace the hacker and got him arrested here in Lagos. CP, any comment?
So as I said earlier, I mean, this is not rocket science. Most times you enable the hackers to be able to hack you. So if you, from what the guy just said, you look at possibilities. First of all, then we now look at trends, how cyber criminals, how they manage to get access to one's WhatsApp. Basically we enable them to be able to do that. So if you have an update, of course, you're not the owner of the technology. The OEMs that provided that particular device, said, okay, you need to update a certain period of time. So it's your responsibility to ensure that you do the update so that you don't leave some of the security features out. Because some of these updates are things, that enable us to stay safe. That some of them are security features that will protect us from attacks from cyber criminals.
All right. A comment here reads, good morning. Cybersecurity isn't only about firewalls and passwords. It is about keeping our data, privacy, and peace of mind safe in a world that is always online. Every click, login, or message carries a piece of who we are, and protecting that is everyone's responsibility. Stay alert, he says, and that's from Engineer Y.S. Olatunde in Lagos. I just want to direct this to Iyomo. I don't know, we are talking a lot about prevention, how we can prevent being hacked, how we can prevent being victims. But, crimes still always go through. It's a question of who is smarter, whether the one that is going to be scammed or the one that is attempting to scam at the end of the day. But our laws or the environment that we are in, does it make it more difficult to even get justice? For instance, we've talked copiously about, being scammed. Somebody says, I'm selling this, and you pay. Why is it difficult to get back to the bank, for instance, to get to the police, for instance, to say, look, this person took ₦1 from me and didn't deliver the good. Why is it difficult to get the police after these people or to get the banks to do the needful? Because the difficulty is what makes people to say, look, I live and forgot.
Okay, thank you very much. I was thinking that question will be directed to CP.
He will listen, no problem.
But again, sometimes it still boils down to individuals. I've seen certain persons that their ₦1 is taken, and they will tell you that they will not give up until they recover their ₦1 that was taken. Right? I remember I had a colleague, she's no longer in Nigeria, that money was taken from her account, and she came and met me, and one of the actions she took was to send, she had called the bank and they were reluctant about it. So one of the actions she took was to send a mail to the bank. The money went to, copied our bank, copied CBN, copied the Nigerian police, copied EFCC.
In a mail?
Yes, in a mail. And she was skeptical, they won't respond. But the first response she got was from the receiving bank, that they will look into the matter. And she got another response again from CBN that this matter has been looked into. And within about 3, 4, 5 days, the money was returned to our account. And initially what the response she got was that this money, this account is all of this fintech app that they really don't have more details about the person. So tell me, how do you have account, someone has account with you, you don't have more details about the person. The person has his NIN with you for verification. BVN, home address, phone number, and you are saying you don't have much information. But when she escalated, the money returned. So sometimes it still boils down to the central point of today's conversation, the humans, the individuals involved. Certain person feels if we take step, maybe it will cost us more. But again, when you take that step, you can make it a lesson for the person that has perpetrated that act. You say, if this thing can happen. I remember the same process I just mentioned happened to someone, was it 2 weeks ago? This was a mistake. He mistakenly sent money to someone's OPay account, which is a phone number. So he added initial 0, called the person, and the person said that money he want to use, he already has plans for it. This is not your money. And money mistakenly entered your account. You are saying you already have plans for it. So the person had to take all of this process, and the money was returned. Guess what? The person that received the money called back and said, please, can you send back the money? I want to use it to pay house rent. It's very funny. But sometimes when individuals take the right step, we always say the Nigerian system is this, the Nigerian system is bad, they will not attend to us. But have we actually taken the step? Some of the reasons people don't take the step is because they heard, not that they have experienced, that this person had these issues and nothing was done. The bank were reluctant about it. But if you take the right step, why not take the right step and let people also hear from you that this happened to you, you took the right step, the bank responded to it, and you recovered your money.
CP, your response?
Well, taking the right step is the key word, because most times you see that some of these victims don't even, notify any agency or even, making an effort to report. So if you don't report, there's no how you're going to get help. So because I remember a case that we handled where an individual account was hacked, a WhatsApp account was hacked, and they used that to raise within 30 minutes. They were able to use, because it's an influential person, so they hacked the WhatsApp, they were able to generate messages to the family and friends, and of course within a period of 30 minutes, they were able to raise almost 60 million naira. The hackers, almost about 60-something million naira within 30 minutes. So, but because, the guy in particular knows me and had my contact, so he quickly called me. He said, so CP, I'm having issues. Look at what happened. And I said, okay, no problem. Let me have all the account details immediately. So he forwarded all the account details of the hackers. Okay, because they always push out account, more especially all these fintech accounts, OPay, PamPay, and all the rest. I'm not saying that they're supporting it, because we have a very good working relationship with the fintech institutions, and we have a very good working relationship with the banks. There are a lot of flaws coming out from the banks actually, but for the issue of providing intel, information that can enable us to tackle this crime, the banks are trying. So immediately I got hold of those accounts. I quickly contacted the bank, and we were able to freeze those accounts within that 30 minutes. So we were able to freeze the accounts. We were able to arrest the threat actors, and we were able to recover the money intact.
Are you also able to deal with issues? For instance, they send me these usual mails and say, this person, can you send me XY amount? I'm in a fix and blah, 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 blah. I know this is fraud. If I report this to you just so that you stop one, if there are 20 of them, well, you take out one and there are 19 left. Does the police look into this kind of matter?
Of course.
Or you wait until there is actual crime?
If crime is not reported, what will you do about it? If crime is not committed, what will you do about it? So there has to be that commission. That is first. And of course, if you
not attempts to commit. When you send me a mail under false pretext.
Of course, you can escalate that to us. I will go after whosoever that is behind the account.
Is there a number?
The same scenario that played out, or this case that I said, talked about 60 million naira, and we were able to clamp down on the account and we were able to recover. Same thing, whether money is sent to that particular account or not. If it's escalated to us immediately, I can bet you we'll get...
Give us the number of email.
Is there a line that you can be reached?
Email.
Yes, we have, because of all these scams going on, and because so many people find it difficult, to reach us, either through phone call or physical contact, we created what we call the e-reporting portal. And through the e-reporting portal, we've been able to help lots of victims of cybercrime, those of them in Nigeria and those of them that are outside our jurisdiction.
Yes.
So the e-reporting portal is there. If you go there, if there are call numbers you can call, you can send message, you have your tracking number, and of course we'll always reach out, to...
Yeah, just in 30 seconds, please.
Note of caution. A person is innocent until proven guilty.
No problem at all.
Let us just keep that
All right,
principle
just before we
in
go,
mind.
Victor, this is coming from Pastor Toye Aliyu. He said, my bank account was hacked twice last month alone within a space of 2 weeks, and a sum of, particular sum was stolen from his savings account with the bank. Now, the bank hasn't done anything about it, even though they told him to change his ATM card at a cost. Even endeavored to do same for his current account as well. Please, kindly help me out, sir. This is to CP Ifeanyi. CP, this is Pastor Toye.
I have one last one.
Yes, please.
All right. Hello, good morning, Nigeria. My name is Ahmed Wada. I would love for our respected police in the House to comment on how possible it is for the Cybercrime Department to investigate financial crimes over blockchain technology like cryptocurrency. Special regards to Mr. Hakim. It's always a pleasure to hear you educate. Thank you.
I'm afraid we have exhausted the time for that, but we will pass all your questions, of course, to the CP. Okay. Yes, please give us the portal. Thank you. Victor, we'll send all the questions to the CP and to other guests that are involved. You want to quickly read out?
Yes. nccc.npf.gov.ng/e-report. nccc.npf.gov.ng/e-report.
Sorry, that's the much time we have. Let me quickly thank Abdul Hakim Ajijola. Thank you very much, as always, for coming. Rotimi Williams Yomo, thank you. And CP Ifeanyi Uche, thank you very much. Indeed, we now know we missed you last week.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
That's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thank you for watching. I am Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak.
And I'm Victor as well. See you again tomorrow. Bye for now.